You're listening to The Blind Chick, an AfterSight original podcast. We're telling you stories about strength, overcoming hurdles, and living experiences. We see who you really are. Blindness can be an adventure. Are you ready for the journey of a lifetime? We are. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Blind Chick with Penn and Moses Street. We are on with part 2 with John Romano. It's been an amazing episode talking about accessibility and emergency preparedness, which is going to set up really well for the fall because we're going to be launching our new show called Code Orange. And this show is going to be all about accessibility in the emergency preparedness arena. We have our other shows, Blind Sight, Blind Level Tech, and Navigating Life with Vision Loss, which is coming back in September with an all-new 16-week episode series on safety. So you're going to want to check that out. All right, Moses, I know you have a very pressing question to ask John. So I'm turning it over to you. Have fun.
So it's just bringing up all kinds of things I want to know. Is so like in my incident in Denver, does it cover things like people should start carrying portable phone chargers, that type of thing?
I think that's part of it, having battery banks and, those available. But I would say further, though, it's really about a mindset. In other words, preparing your mind as much it is, coming up with a plan. And preparing your mind and getting in the mindset of, whether it's a one-off emergency or a full-fledged disaster, regional disaster, it's all about mindset and making connections in the community. And with other individuals, your support net, so to speak.
Right.
And getting that information loaded into the app and, having them ready, so to speak.
So going along with that, it has stuff on medical info, pet care, personal support networks, that kind of thing?
Exactly. You can load any type of information you want into the app that you think is going to be pertinent to the continuity of your household, you as an individual or the continuity of your household.
It is very customizable. It sounds like.
Yes, it's very customizable. What we tried to do when the theory in developing the app was we didn't want to be too formulaic because, when it comes to preparedness, the topic of preparedness is a broad subject matter, and it has to do with both you at the individual level and where you are regionally. So, you can have one part of the country more susceptible to wildfires, another part of the country more susceptible to earthquakes, another part of the country more susceptible to hurricanes and hurricanes and tornadoes. So the guidance in the app is designed to be less formulaic, and it allows the user to really customize that information. And that's why the training is really necessary.
Okay. So with the actual nonprofit, are you doing, so one of the things that I know Hurricane Katrina really brought a light onto people with disabilities and how they are treated during a natural disaster. There was lack of interpreters for people who are hearing, are deaf or hard of hearing, lack of any kind of assistive tool for somebody who's blind, even their guide dogs. So, the boats would pull up to evacuate somebody and they wouldn't leave without their guide dog, and so things have changed a lot in the system, but it seems like there's still a lot that needs to happen. When the last big flood we had in our area in 2013, I actually had a friend. He called me. He's blind. He had his guide dog, and they were evacuating his neighborhood. But to evacuate, they were literally had a rope over the river that they would tether people in and then pull them across on this rope. Well, they would not allow him to bring his guide dog because they said it was too dangerous for the dog. Well, he chose to stay. And so he did. But the good thing is that they knew he was there. And then of course he called to me, and I got local friends and community members to help him. Like, they brought him dog because he was stuck there for weeks. Was not able to get out. And so they brought like dog food and fresh water and stuff and got it across the river to him. But it was still shocking to me that this type of thing is still happening. Is there, with your nonprofit and with the app, are you doing things that are, I guess my question is are you advocating for the changes that are happening, or are you building something in hope that it makes changes?
Well, I think, and that's a very insightful and good question, because I think we have to look at disaster recovery as a whole, as a system, and the emergency response system as a whole, and how we can mitigate hazards. And usually the person responsible for that is the emergency manager of a municipality or a community. And now, given they can't mitigate every possible hazard, well, because there's always situations that are going to be one-off, and it's never going to be perfect as far as the response is concerned. But at the same token, you can plan. And when you do that planning, you don't do it in a vacuum. You don't do that. You do it on the individual and household level, but hopefully the idea is to have people participate in those planning sessions with you when it comes to, a region-wide disaster. And that's what we did, obviously, at Colorado Act Functional Needs Conference, is we had tabletop exercises. Yes. And how could we bring technology into this? How can we bring the emergency management community into this? How can we bring our state and local officials into this whole mix? And in the end, have it all translate out to a better end user experience for the disaster survivor. So it's a type of thing that once again, using the analogy, we're not going to just give you a tool. We're not going to hand you a fishing pole. We're going to give you, an understanding. We're going to prepare your minds as well as giving you a tool, and do that on a community-wide basis.
So speaking of the community, and this is from somebody else that we had talked with, is including family, neighbors, and friends, and forming kind of how they they still have neighborhood watches, but if you extrapolated that to the idea of neighborhood evacuation, and so if all this had been as advanced as it is now, the example Penn just gave of our friend that got stuck, if he'd have had the family, neighborhood, and everybody on board on how do I get out of here if everything hits the fan, does it cover stuff like that?
Well, I'm going to throw out a statistic. Sure. I'm going to throw out a statistic to you.
Okay.
70% of your first responders are family and friends. They're not
Mm,
generally a
Wow.
fireman or a policeman. They're family and friends.
wow.
So the bottom line is if we could increase our connectivity with those communities, bring them into our planning, uh, we're that much better off
Right.
because, you know, the cavalry is not that's coming is not always going to be, you know, uh, the government. And this is
Right.
more and more true as we're seeing now at the federal level. There's even questions now about FEMA's existence. And,
Exactly.
and
Right.
so
So that's going to become really important.
100%, it's really about inclusive emergency planning.
Yeah.
And, and I think technology's going to have to play a role in this because it, it, it just makes many things more efficient and work faster for us.
Right.
So, John,
Yeah.
how, like, because we talk about this a lot on the Blind Chick about being part of your community, um, meet your neighbors, get out, get off the couch, get your butt, get out, get involved. And how do our listeners out there, how can they help bring this program to their cities or even educate their the nonprofits or the organization, the resource services that they deal with on a day-to-day basis?
I think it's imperative that community members involve themselves in pilot projects, is the one we are planning uh, with the state of Colorado, uh,
Okay.
and and where we actually are putting the mobile app and the training program out there to people with disabilities, and then have them give us their feedback
Mm.
uh, because the tool is only as good as the input the tool gets. And
Yes.
the
Yeah.
technology is nothing more than a tool at the end of the day. It's about people,
Right.
it's about connecting people in a
Right.
better way and about, educating people the importance of this. So I think, my hope is we're going to give the disability community in the state of Colorado an opportunity to participate in a pilot project. I'm in discussions with this now. I can't go into any details because they're not there yet,
Right.
but is to support and efforts of this nature, of bringing greater community cohesion, participating in tabletop exercises where
Okay.
technology is introduced and incorporated into the plans. I think that's the best way, and
Okay.
that is doing various things as getting involved in the Atlantis community, and uh, that's where we plan to advocate for a study or a project of this nature,
Okay.
and present, of course, Be Ready app as a part of that,
Okay.
along with a training curriculum.
And so, speaking of sustainable funding for this project, and with the state of the changes that are going on in our government, where are you getting the funding? Like, what avenues have you gone down to fund this project?
Well, we've been almost exclusively reliant upon our donors
Okay.
and users uh,
Okay.
of the app, and you know that's kind of where it starts. And if we can, the idea here is to we can get if there's a larger user base within the app, we can get more interest in what we're doing. And we say,
Right.
okay, well, the Be Ready app is not a perfect match for what we're trying to do here, but it's going in the right direction. We
Right.
participated in this program with this Dare to Prepare program. You know, if there's one thing I found about the state of Colorado, at least, it is there's a lot of open-mindedness and
Yes.
receptivity to this type of discussion. And this is what it demands. It demands a community-wide discussion. Now
Yeah.
I'm in Montana, and I'm also having discussions right now with the Rural Institute of Montana, University of Montana, making the
Right.
app available in preparedness classes and so forth with
And you
uh,
guys are having some pretty
schools here.
scary fires right now.
Absolutely. So every
Yeah.
region, has its unique,
Yeah.
unique dangers or hazards. We're also having discussions with another app developer in which are interested in doing uh, a pilot project in hazard mitigation, really defining what
Mm.
hazard mitigation is, household hazard mitigation, and then coming up with AI solutions that
Okay.
almost deliver instantly,
Yeah,
instructions
I was
to.
wondering about that. Are you, AI is everywhere right now, and I use it in my own work, and is that it seems like that would be a good fit for this situation. So how
Well,
are you integrating AI?
well, that's one of the future integration we want to have. Are working uh, with an app developer now, so we can make greater integration of the app when it comes to household hazard mitigation. And this
Mm.
could have a number of you know use cases. Whether it's active shooter or a building collapse or even a health issue. So AI can play a role in that, and once again creating sort of an output that is almost immediate and informed. And this area right here can really close those emergency response gaps. Uh, there's also this notion of GIS technology, and I don't want to go too far out on the
Oh,
technological uh,
okay.
limb, but GIS now has tremendous abilities. And when I say GIS, I mean uh, global information systems or
Okay.
geospatial mapping,
Right.
where
Yeah.
where emergency managers can identify people more vulnerable, populations are more vulnerable, or
Mm.
regions that are
That's
more vulnerable, and target their resources, response efforts toward that. These are all places we want to go.
yeah.
Uh, these are, as Wayne Gretzky said, he had this famous quote. He said, "I skate to where the hockey puck's going to be, not where it is now." So,
Ooh,
uh,
that's
that's the way we see this technology and the way we want to develop it. But we need the help of the disability community to do that, and
so what would
participation.
be the first step with that, John? Like, do they go to your website? Do they call you? Like, do they call Atlantis? Like, what is the next? What's the call to action that we can put out today?
Well, I think the call to action would be number one is the work that we want to do with the State Independent Living Center
Okay.
and offering preparedness classes in our centerpiece in the Be Ready app. Uh, you can do that. Even the Atlantis community could play a role in that. Is that reach out to Curtis Garrett and say, look, we want this. We want to get a pilot study going, and we want to work with Disaster Central, John Romano and his Be Ready app, and and so we can build a use case around it. We can put this thing in a
Awesome.
wind tunnel and test it and fly it.
And what is your website?
Our website is disastercentral.org, just like it sounds,
.org.
disastercentral.org.
And we'll make sure we put that
And
in the show notes.
Yeah. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay connected with the CMIS community and Sadie and all the rest. And also, I want to sort of get involved with the Atlantis community and start talking about it. And this is the type of things we need. We need participation, because if we don't have it, it's just another conceptual, idea that sounds great, but it's not reduced to action, to practice.
Exactly. And I mean, you guys hear me say this a lot. Get off your butts, get off the couch, do something. But we really, really need your input to build the future with this type of thing. We need to help. It needs to be our voices. It's not for us, it's with us. And it's because all of us complain that, oh, well, we don't have a voice. Other people speak for us, blah, blah. Well, then open your mouth, get your butt out there. And if you have not been affected by a natural disaster or some type of tragedy in your life, it's not will it happen, it's when it's going to happen. And we need this kind of training, and we need these apps, because it's so horrific when you do go through one. But if you have these things and you're prepared and you did the footwork ahead of time, it doesn't make it easy, but it will make it a little bit easier. There's, that's one less box you have to check off. And those of you who have guide dogs, we've talked about this, is yes, you have a to-go bag for your guide dog, but do you actually have all their paperwork? Do you have their veterinarian information in a place that is accessible? Because you may not be able to grab that bag. And so I just love what John and his team are doing, and his passion for this. And he is giving us an opportunity to have a seat at the table. And so please, everybody out there, take it.
Yeah, and it's going back to the million questions I've got, but it's to get in on what John's doing is super important if you haven't been thinking about disasters in your area, because it was like in the first flood of Estes Park, it is the community. Yeah. And John's information would give what you can do for your community and tools for it. Because like in the first flood, the people who managed to escape the Big Thompson Canyon, they found each other up in the mountains. All these people were lost in this 20 miles of mountain wilderness, and they teamed up and saved each other.
Yeah.
And then in the second big flood, which went through downtown Estes Park, it was, I was a major part of that. It was the community, because all this disaster preparedness stuff wasn't in existence. It was the community that saved each other.
Yeah.
And then in the aftermath of that, it was the community that helped each other, helped their friends, and got things going. And so this gives you the groundwork of all the questions and things that you can do to get your community to function. So like Estes Park, yeah, it was a small town, so they had the community. But you live in a neighborhood, and your neighborhood's small. And if you've got 10, 25, 50 neighbors that are all on the same page, and you've learned to know them, that's going to come in major handy.
Yeah.
And John, are we missing anything that you want to cover? Because we're getting close, unfortunately.
I think you're right on. I think it's a community approach. It's not just about technology. It's about community. At the end of the day, it's about people, helping people, working with each other, and you know, let's not sit and admire the problem. Let's actively go out and engage ourselves and work on solutions that solve the problem. And so I would love an opportunity to come back and keep you guys posted on how things go with the state of Colorado and the soups, and our progress on that. And we can build this thing together. We can do it. And those are the best outcomes generally when we build this thing together. So,
yeah, and that's word of mouth is what's hitting me, because like Penn and I have a fairly large social media, and so we can get it out on Loveland's local political stuff. And if you who are listening get the app, you can turn your friends on to it.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. Because you might be the one person who has that app in your group, your community, that you'd be the go-to person and get it out on social media. So what I was leading to is John, if you get the info to Jonathan or Penn, we can get it out on the big social network thing to get hundreds, if not thousands of people aware of it.
Yeah.
Delightful. Well, like I say, we want to institute this into a program of training in what we call people-centered emergency preparedness, and then collectively bring in the emergency managers in on the discussion and the dialogue, as we roll out a pilot project. So that's our goal. I'm here for you guys. I'm here
Thank you.
for everyone who's interested in, once again, improving the outcomes for disaster survivors. And this goes for the community at large as well, not just the disability community.
Absolutely. Well, John, thank you so much for taking time today to share this. And we will have you back on, because I know that this is going to explode in a good way. And everybody out there, you can be part of that. Go to disastercentral.org and check it out. Reach out to John. I know his email is on there, and become part of the solution here. Be part of the engagement. Be part of the build out of this, which we really, really, really appreciate. So, Moses, again, it's back. It's great to be back in the seat again with you. And again, thank everybody out there for showing up week after week to the Blind Chick podcast. We really appreciate it. It's all about you. It's about that community and learning and living together. And this week, find a way to be kind to yourself and find a way to be kind to somebody else. It's good for your soul.